Happy Easter, everybody. And, Emil Kennedy, Ezekiel 3000, and several others have always asked me, why do I not talk about the positives about the current story arc and what's going on? The truth is, I have talked at times about the positives. True, they have been far and in between. There's no doubt about that. I mean, and I can't help that sometimes. When I read off what people have to say, kind of spread the message of their opinions, if you will, basically, of how they feel about certain things. I can't help it if most of the time you go to a place like DeviantArt or you go to several other areas and you say to yourself, "Oh man, there's so much negativity about what's going on." You ask yourself, "Man, I wonder." Basically, it's like curiosity gets to you, and you ask yourself, "Well, I wonder what other people that are not at these sites would think about this." You know, but positive. But they're asking me to do the positives, and I admit I do owe them that. So let's take a look at the positives. I mean, okay, first of all, the positive character-wise. For Sally, true, I've admitted, and a lot of people have admitted, we may not like what's happened to her and everything. But to me, and I said this about a year ago or so, a little over a year ago when this happened. To me, I think this is going to be great development for Sally in some ways because when she is restored, I mean, yeah, a lot of fans are not going to be too happy about what Ian may write and all that. But the positive is it's going to help her develop as a character when it's all said and done. And again, true, they may true. Some of the writings and all that for her may make it seem like she's basically go through the whole guilt trip kind of deal of what she's done. But to me, that's like good character development because I think the primary focus for that character development, in just my opinion, is, and this is going to be positive, is she's going to ask herself whether or not she is meant to be a leader in the Freedom Fighters, or whether or not she's just meant to be someone that follows orders. I mean, there's no doubt she's still going to be a leader in some capacity, but she's going to start questioning whether or not she needs to make these kind of decisions or if she can come up with other alternatives. Another positive as well for her is I think she's going to be the first among them that's going to be like, yeah, we could still do the planning when we go on our missions and all that, still come up with our plans and what we need to do, but we need to embrace Sonic's attitude. We need to embrace his attitude that no matter what Eggman throws at us, we'll just shrug it off and be like, is that the best you could do, Eggman? Come on, I thought you could do better. Come on, come on, come on. You know, basically adapt a little bit of Sonic's cool attitude, like, it was nothing. Is that the best you could do? Because when you think about it from a comic book and a game standpoint, it's like no matter what Eggman does, no matter how much he knocks him down, Sonic just gets back up like, is that all you can do? I mean, seriously, when you take a look at the one of the final cutscenes in Generations before his boss battle with Eggman on both Eggmans, you have him just telling Eggman, hey, I beat you all the time. No, seriously, we beat him all the time. You know, it's like he just shrugs it off like it's nothing. So, but yeah, I feel that that's going to be a great. I feel, my opinion, but I feel that that's going to be part of the development, not just for her, but it's going to spread to the other characters because they're going to realize, you know what? Yeah, they're going to be because if Ian goes in this direction, they'll embrace it like, yeah, Sonic may be brash and cocky at times, but it's his attitude towards Eggman that helps him beat Eggman because Eggman doesn't. Because it's like no matter what he does, it's not going to phase him. Now, I know some people may not like the fact that they will have to embrace that kind of an attitude, but think of it this way. They'll still be the same characters. They'll still be the same Sally. They'll still be the same Bunny, same Antoine, Rhoda, whatever, Rhoda and Nicole and whatever. But it's mostly like when they go on missions and they get confronted by Eggman, you could see that they're going to have to embrace that attitude, and I think that's what's going to happen. And to me, that's going to be part of great character development for a character like Sally. Yeah, she is going to question what she's done and wonder if she's still good enough to be a leader. But then she's going to realize, you know what? I am still good enough to be a leader, but I need to embrace my friend's attitude on these missions, because if I don't, that's how Eggman always beats us. So I feel that's going to be a huge positive as well for her, and as well as for the other characters. You know, for Bunny, her character development is, if she does get legionized and get her cybernetics, like a lot of people pretty much are saying she is, you know, I think it's going to be not just good character development for her, but it's going to be good character development for her uncle, because we're going to find out, and I'm not, don't quote me on this, but we're going to find out that perhaps she was the exception of when she got legionized. He couldn't bring it upon himself to put any detonation in her or anything like that. Now, I know a lot of people also think, well, what if she ends up being like Scarlet in Dark Mobius? Or Other M, if you want to call it that. Well, if she does, she does, but we'll have to wait and see. So again, I think it's going to be great development on both parts there. All the other characters I feel are going to get some great positive development out of this. Like with Nicole, she's going to be like, she's going to have some great development down the line. To me, it's like as soon as Sally gets restored, I've got a feeling Ian's going to want to do something with Nicole to where Nicole's going to want to become flesh and blood. And she's going to want to be more human-like or more Mobian-like so that she can be there physically for her friend. And just in case something similar happens. So I really see that as a positive for her. And all the other characters, I feel, depending on what can be used, who can be used and who can't, I feel are going to get some great development. So yeah, I really look at this, and you take a look at Eggman, and I kind of feel that we're gonna kind of come a little full circle with his character. I feel that they're gonna probably cause him to crack a little bit again, just like he did previously. But then I guess thanks to his new assistants, Orbot and Qbot or whatever, that he'll basically crack a little bit, but then settle down and realize, you know what, like realize and go like, you know what, it's like no matter what I throw at Sonic, it doesn't faze him. I can knock him down, beat him up, injure him, hurt him physically and mentally, but nothing phases him. What am I doing wrong? What is it? What am I doing wrong? So, yeah, I feel he's going to be questioning, like, what is he doing wrong? And then I think what's going to happen, just my personal opinion, is they're going to go back and they're going to visit the fact that he's from another dimension. That, yeah, he's done all these Genesis reboots and all that, these waves, these whiteouts, these white-ins, and that eventually what's going to happen is he's, on a positive for him, is he's going to realize, you know what, I'm trying to fight Sonic on his field, on his grounds, on his, in his home stadium, in his home base. I need to take the fight to my home base, to my home stadium. And that's going to basically be the means of getting him back to the Mobius where he defeated his Sonic. He defeated his enemies and became victorious. So that way you can have maybe a final confrontation. And speaking of final confrontations, I think that's another positive that's going to come out of this entire story arc. The crossover, the current arc, and everything, is we're going to end up having a final confrontation, a final confrontation of war declared between both sides. And that's going to lead to either 275 or that's going to lead to 300 as a conclusion to this final confrontation, this final war, this final battle, to end it all, to basically see who comes out on top. And depending on what happens behind the scenes with this lawsuit or this entire situation between Penders and Archie Comics, I've got a feeling Ian, if he does go in this direction, where the next arc is going to be is going to slowly build and set up to this final confrontation, this final battle, this final war, or if you will, for 275 or 300, which would also, in my opinion, be a positive because that would lead us into a newer, fresher villain coming on board to take Eggman's place, if permanently, if not temporary. I feel Ian leading up to that will just let loose, literally. Honestly, when you watch the interview between Paul Kaminsky and this one girl from Think About Inc., he basically says Ian's always seems to be a step ahead when it comes to certain story arcs. It's like it's like he said in the video. It's like when he called Ian and said, "Hey, Capcom and Sega wanted to do this crossover between Mega Man and Sonic," and he's like, basically, Ian's like, "Oh, really?" And then the next thing Paul knows he gets all this email with an entire script laid out for the crossover. So again, I feel the positive is we're going to head in that direction possibly, and I'm not going to be surprised if Ian's thinking about that right now. He's thinking about that right now. I would not be surprised. And again, I feel it's going to lead either to 275 or 300. The positive about it's going to bring in probably a new villain to either temporarily or permanently replace Robotnik, Eggman. And I know a lot of people hope it would be Nega or Black Doom or whoever. But potentially we'll just have to. But potentially, we just have to wait, because who knows what Ian's got planned. But I feel, in my personal opinion, that's going to be a positive coming out of that. And I feel Ian's going to probably be allowed because it will be the final battle. It will be the final confrontation. And depending, like I said, what happens behind the scenes with this entire Penders Archie thing, he's going to just let loose with what he can use and who he can use. He's just going to let loose. He's going to have all these, battles maybe, and everything, and all over the planet, fights and everything, where each Legion part or Eggman Army part, whatever you want to call it, is basically, dismantled, basically broken down. I've got a feeling you're going to probably have certain Legion groups, like say the Barons, turn against him. I think in a positive way, and I think honestly you might have other freedom fighter groups, like say the Sandblast, because I feel this is going to happen. I got a feeling you're going to have the Sandblast side with him in the end, or side with whoever the new villain is that takes his place if that happens. But that to me is the positive that will come out of this, is the fact that we're going to be building slowly up to this final confrontation. The next arc is going to be the next story arc that's going to lead into the next anniversary issue or two, whether it's 75 or 300, is going to be the final confrontation. It's going to be the final battle. Because let's face it, it needs to happen in this comic. And when you think about it, you'll have 25 months. Well, not 25 months. What is it? 22 months to build. Very little less than 2 years to build to 75 as the conclusion. That's 2 years, so you'd be looking at the rest of 13 into 14 into 15. You'd be basically looking into these almost the 25th anniversary, if you will. Almost the 25th anniversary. That's what you'd be looking at. And that would, to me, would be a huge positive. I really believe that. So overall, I see a lot of positives coming out of this. I really do. And, as far as that final confrontation goes, I would not be surprised if he takes an example of what he's doing right now with the crossover, and he goes back and forth with it. Goes between like part 1's in the main comic, part 2's in universe, part 3 main. Again, it would be, to me, I think that's what he's slowly building to eventually, because who knows what's going to happen in the future behind the scenes, but positive-wise, that's what this arc is going to lead to. Because you got to think about it from a character and story standpoint.